You got to move.
Best music ever.
Got to make it happen. And look at us. We are Twinkies. How about that?
I know. What? Let's not say we're Twinkies. Let's say we are celery stalks. That's our new.
Okay. Yeah.
That's our new version of being Twinkies.
We're kale cousins.
Yeah, I like it.
Good. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Facebook Live. It's Friday, June 30th, 2023. I want you to put in the chat what you had for breakfast this morning. Carrie, I had 2 bananas, 2 mangoes, and 2 kiwis in a big old bowl, and that's all I had. Naked.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, what'd you have?
I had made some overnight oats last night, so I had just regular old-fashioned oats, not even steel cut, old-fashioned oats, tablespoon of chia, tablespoon of flax, tablespoon of cinnamon. I put some frozen blueberries in there last night, and I literally just pounded that today. And I kind of spread it out all morning because it's 11 o'clock where I am right now. So I've actually spread it out all morning because it's filling. It is dense.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
So we got a really special episode today. So Carrie last weekend spent the weekend with 7 or 8 of your very good friends from high school. And so we want to kind of set the tone as looking back and moving forward at basically when all of Carrie and her buddies turned 50 with friends, food, and fun. But before we do that, Carrie, I just want to remind people who you are, right? And why you're so important to PlantStrong. And so for those of you that don't know the story, Carrie and I met. She actually solicited me to be on her podcast, which was I could never do that, which I guess what you were asking me is I could never eat plants.
Yes.
Of course, you had been eating plants for a while because you had been to some of my, epic potlucks here at the Academy House.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. That is true.
Yep. And you were you became a convert back in 2010 or something like that with the Engine 2 Diet book. But after that, it was great because you interviewed me for the podcast. And I was like, you know what? This woman is good. And she asks great questions and she's really present and she's intelligent and she's got a great energy. And so from there, I just was trying to figure out ways to get Carrie on board as part of the PlantStrong team. And as luck would have it, things have just kind of built over the last several years. Carrie is the producer of the amazing PlantStrong podcast. She is now my co-host with these great Facebook Friday lives, and is just we're always finding ways to bring Carrie in and just fulfill parts of PlantStrong that need to be filled. And she does such a phenomenal job with it. So anything you want to add to that, Carrie, before we dive in?
Yeah, only to say thank you for actually seeing something special in that starstruck girl that came to the Academy House where you're at now and allowed me to interview you. So first of all, thank you for saying yes to the interview. And I think that speaks volumes to kind of the personality that you are, where you didn't know me. You didn't know anything about my podcast. All you knew was from mutual friends. All you knew was that I was PlantStrong and that I had probably been to your house once for, a potluck. And so, yeah, you welcomed me in, and I love almost every month now. It's you or Lori will call me up and be like, okay, so we have this project.
That's right.
Do you have any bandwidth to work on this? And before you even tell me what it is, I'm usually, yep. Just tell me what you want me to do. And it is true. I did convert. That sounds so evangelical, and I don't mean it to sound that way, but I did make a dietary / lifestyle switch in 2009. Is that because that's when Engine 2 came out?
That's right.
Yep. And I had just a quick backstory is that I've been a runner and a triathlete for many years. background though, I was very overweight. So growing up in my youth, and this we'll get into a little bit today, I was the one who wasn't healthy. I was the one that when we had to do a mile run in gym class or before field hockey practice, I was coming in last place, and just pretty self-defeated as a teenager and young adult. But everything changed when I read the book, and I had genetically high cholesterol. Well, it probably dietarily as well. But when I started to follow the Engine 2 plan in 2009, my cholesterol dropped 60 points within that, I'll say 6 weeks in between me getting my blood work done. And then my weight dropped by about 10 pounds. And mind you, I was training for an Ironman triathlon at the time. And everyone said, you are crazy to change your diet in the middle of training for this. All of my coaches at the time and peers were just like, what are you doing? Like, what do you mean you're not eating meat? We've got a 90-mile bike ride we have to do on Saturday. And I just felt better and better and better. And, ended up shaving almost an hour off my Ironman time. And the results spoke for themselves. So did the food. And I was like, why would I ever go back? And that literally was, April of 2009.
Wow. Yeah. So we're going to jump in here. First, I'm just reading some of these comments. You guys are crushing it with your breakfast. Congratulations. And Raquel Johnson, I want you to know you're never too old to start. I don't care how many bad habits you have. Nothing about this is overwhelming. You just start with one small step and then you move forward, and have that one small step be just start doing oatmeal with fruit for breakfast, right? That's an easy first step. All right. So Carrie, I want to talk about you going for this girls' weekend. You're all, basically in your 50th year on the planet, and, kind of celebrating that and your lives and where you are, because I can tell you, I had my 40th high school reunion back in Cleveland, and I didn't go. It was the timing was bad. I've got a family, I've got 3 young kids, and I'm kicking myself that I didn't go, because I wanted to mix it up with all these people that I haven't seen in, some of them 40 years. Right. And so to me, there's also an element of courageousness that's involved in getting on, traveling, getting in a car or an airplane, and actually visiting with friends that some of whom you haven't seen in decades. So my first question to you is, Carrie, and I think this applies to everybody listening, and please feel free to chime in with comments, but why was it important for you that you actually go and make this happen with these friends?
Yeah, and you're right. I think it applies to any of us who have to attend anything that we're like, oh gosh, there's going to be pressure, there's going to be temptation, I'm going to be judged, family reunions, class reunions, holiday parties, all of that stuff, anything that sort of makes me cringe a little bit for fear of the judgment that's going to come. So it was important for me for many reasons. First of all, these are my girls. These are my, what we say, like our ride or dies. I have known these women most of them since 7th, 8th grade. One of them who's one of my lifelong friends, we've known each other since 1st grade. And so These are women who have known every phase of my life. And I went to elementary and high school in Columbus, Ohio, because that's where I was born and raised. And then I moved away to Austin when I was 24. So after college, I got a job and moved to Austin. So you're right. I haven't seen some of these women. We would see each other at holidays, things like that occasionally. But these, 6 of the 8 have grown children now who are in high school and college. Some of them getting ready to start, one of them is a grandparent. So it was important for me because I love these women. These women, they are my rock and they are my foundation. It's also important because we hear so much now about mental health, and especially with the pandemic, when we weren't able to travel and get together in person, that it was a priority for all of us to make it happen, because so much of our health stems from social connections. And there is so much to be gained when you can get together with people and laugh and reminisce. And oh boy, did we. And some of the stories and the photos that were brought out, they probably weren't some of the better memories that we should be sharing, but oh my gosh, it was belly laughter for me for 2.5 days straight.
Wow.
Yeah. And we just I haven't had that in a long time. As you know, earlier this year, at the very beginning of the year, I lost my father, and like it just reminded me, going through that process and that grieving process and getting together with my family, who just came together in a beautiful way, that it just made me more adamant about maintaining social connections with people that I love, because our time is limited. And, I think also too, it's important for any of us to get away from obligations. If it's possible, just shut down the laptop for 2 days. We could all do it, and go spend time off the grid. And I also think celebrating any milestone is important too. So yeah, this was my 50th birthday, and it's a big milestone.
Was there, so 8 people showed up, and that's including yourself, 8 total?
Yeah.
And so was it always 8? Were there supposed to be 10, and did 2 not show up, or 8 and 8 showed up?
Only one woman couldn't, because I think she had some business travel. Yeah. Right. So only one of our friends couldn't make it. But we actually FaceTimed her at one point during the weekend, and caught up for a few minutes. So no, everyone, we tossed around different ideas of where to go. And this is also important too, I think, to mention, and something that really made the weekend extra special. So if anyone out there is planning something similar, that we tossed around, like maybe going to Nashville and staying in an Airbnb or a hotel, and partying on the strip or whatever. And but yeah. It's just none of it sounded fun to any of us. And one of my dear friends happens to have a beautiful home in North Carolina, and offered her house. Like, her husband left for the weekend. And so we all just thought, yes, we want to just go to somebody's home. We never even left the house. Like, that's how much we bonded.
And that sounds perfect, right? Yep. Where you don't have to get in a car or an Uber. You just are there in the house, and you're just like getting into it together.
Oh yeah. And she has some toys. Like, she's got a boat, she's got a pool. I mean, like, she had the toys that made it, that you just didn't want to leave, right?
Well, that's nice. So it wasn't an 890 square foot little bungalow.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't.
Well, but, so did you have to shack up with another person, or did you each get your own bedrooms?
Rip, we each had our own bedrooms, and I'm yeah. We pretty much each had our own shower too.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was pretty special. Yeah.
Wow. Well, what was this, like a 10,000 square foot home?
That was 15. I know.
That's 5 of my homes, maybe 6. Incredible.
Yeah. Hey, look.
Yeah.
She and her husband have done quite well, and
apparently
she was so generous. And again, like, this is the friend that I've known since first grade. I used to spend, like, when my parents would go on holiday without the kids, I would go stay at her house for a week or 2 weeks at a time. And so I've known her the longest of anyone, and so I know her true heart, and it's nothing but kindness and generous. I mean, she was in the hospice industry, and still is in the hospice industry. And so she was also a wonderful resource for me when I was going through some issues with my father, and at his end of life. And just like that's who she is. And
Yeah.
she tells wonderful stories of patience and the dying process and how special life is. And that's why it was important for her as well to host this weekend, is she sees it firsthand every day.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to welcome Samuel Pope, first timer, who's starting PlantStrong today. And he saw me on the Lance Armstrong podcast years ago. So, Samuel, 460 pounds, you got high blood pressure, you're 45 years old, 5 young kids, your wife is pregnant. Listen, dive into this lifestyle and you won't believe where you are in about a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
But just be consistent, be steady, and don't you ever, ever, ever give up. So,
Yeah.
Carrie, tell me, what did you do to prepare going into this girls' weekend?
So again, I think the inherent lessons for all of this is to, not talk about my fabulous weekend, but what were some of the takeaways? And as I mentioned, I was a little reticent because I am the only one that is strictly plant-based. And hey, I get made fun of a lot because of it, and I get ribbed a lot because of it. But as I told you before we hit record, I'd rather be made fun of for being too healthy. So go for it. But I did a lot to prepare. But first of all, let me give credit to my friend who reached out to every one of us, both as a group and individually, and said, what do you want? What special food do you need? Are there any other dietary restrictions besides Carrie's wacky plant-based diet? And so she just opened the door for anyone to suggest what they wanted. And so she made sure for me that she had flax. She made sure that she had oats. She had some sparkling waters because I love some sparkling water, and I'm not much of a day drinker, so I just wanted to have like some refreshing water. So, in addition to her helping us feel welcome and prepared, I for the airplane. So right now I'm in Oregon and I was flying to North Carolina, which because of time changes is an all day endeavor. And I left Oregon at 7 a.m. and didn't get there until about 6 o'clock at night with layovers, which as a traveling PlantStrong aficionado, like I will not go hungry and I don't want to panic at airports. So I made a wrap to take on the plane the morning of. So it was hummus, spinach, carrots, and a little slice of tofu. So I had a wrap with me. I had even made for the whole trip, for the weekend, vegan breakfast sausage patties. And I was inspired because of your podcast, your recent podcast with Sid Nodder. And you had asked Sid what she had had for breakfast, and she mentioned these vegan sausages, and I was like,
"How they
that
turn
sounds
out?"
really good. They were delicious. And what's so funny is that one of our PlantStrong fans, one of your loyal followers, Lynn Collins, who we're going to have on this Facebook Live here in a couple of weeks, she reached out to me and said, if you need a recipe, here's a recipe. And I looked at the one Lynn sent me, and it had mushrooms and stuff. And I don't like mushrooms.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to find another one. And so I found one, and it was from Shane and Simple, his website, shaneandsimple.com. And you've had him on the podcast as well. And these vegan sausages are essentially some broth, but they were oats, flax, chia, nutritional yeast. I used one of your veggie broths as the liquid to bind, and then a bunch of like sausagey spices, so cumin and paprika and hot salt, hot powder, and red chili flakes, and they were so good. To the point where
did you throw them in the blender and then mix it up, and then you put them into little?
I just hand stirred them like pancake batter. So it because the
oats,
chia.
So the oats you didn't get the oats ground down at all.
Nope. Just the old-fashioned rolled oats. So I didn't grind them. And then the chia to liquid ratio is just such that it created like a batter, just like that perfect, make a patty batter. So I air fried about 12 of those. And I think by the time I got there and let people sample them, I think I only got to enjoy 2 of them. People love them so much. And it's funny, we ended up calling them the poop patties because a couple of my friends have digestive issues. And so I was like, eat this, you'll poop, you'll go to the restroom. And sure enough, it worked.
That's good.
So,
That's good. So it wasn't because they looked like poop. It was because they helped you poop.
They help you poop. Yep. They help you poop. So I had those. I brought bananas. I brought an apple. I brought my own little block of tofu. My husband and I had made homemade pizza the night before I left. So I had a slice or 2 of that left that I brought. So I literally brought a lunch bag in my carry-on with food. So I had no excuses to make bad choices at the airport. And really, I had enough food all weekend if I needed it. So I prepared a lot of food in advance. I think we've mentioned this a couple of times before. If you are just bringing a carry-on, which is all I brought, you cannot bring a container of hummus and you cannot bring a container of peanut butter because those are liquids according to TSA. So, but hummus on a wrap is fine. If I would have made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, that would have been fine as well. The other thing I brought to prepare really was just because I like to exercise and run, I brought workout clothes. I brought my running clothes. And I ended up running. I was there for 2.5 mornings. I ended up running both mornings, and I even brought like my own running like hydration bottle and nutrition, so that like I was not going to be a nuisance to anyone. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do.
That's great. So you traveled and you brought enough food so that you felt safe and you were in a good place, and then you brought some running shoes so you could work out. You got everything you need.
Yeah. And like, important to call out that it's like for people who are traveling, whether you're going on a cruise like you did recently that you talked about, or whether you are going to a family, like it is so important to set yourself up for personal success, no matter where you're going. And so I made sure that while I definitely made some compromises and some concessions, which we can talk about because I wanted to also, have a great weekend. It was very important for me not to compromise on like my exercise and my dietary restrictions. So
good for you. Yeah. So you mentioned what your friend did to make everyone feel welcome. Like, for example, by asking, do you have any dietary restrictions? What can I help with? What are some of the other things that you guys or that she did to help make everybody feel like welcome and safe?
Man, I didn't even think about this until afterwards, Rip, how important this was when I was sort of framing up this conversation with us today and really thinking through how special it was. And one of the things that made it really special, and I think that this is something, again, that people can take, is that she very much said, I'm creating a safe zone for everyone. So first of all, nothing gets posted on social media unless it's something funny that we want to share, which I think I shared one selfie of me because I had crazy hair because we had just been on the boat. But we didn't, like, no one wants to be photographed in their bathing suits. Okay, great. No one was. It was a place to, I mean, as she says, like, look, if you're not in a good spot in your marriage and you want to talk about it, we're here to talk about it and not judge. If you don't want to talk about it, we won't talk about it. If you are not drinking right now, or if you are trying to change your relationship with alcohol and you don't want to drink, great. Feel safe here. I've got plenty of options. We'll support you. Conversely, hey, look, if you want to let loose, drink too much, go for it. Again, this is a safe space for everyone. And let
me ask you this. Let me stop you there for a second and ask you. So how many of the 8 of you were drinking, and how many were not drinking?
All 8 of us were drinking. I mean, like, yeah. like I am not alcohol free completely. And
Yeah.
I think, I've had conversations about that, and just how I know that it's not a health food. But maybe 3, 4 nights a week, I still enjoy a glass of wine, and
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
So you subscribe to the Dan Buettner school of socialization, a little bit of wine, right?
Yeah, if that's what you want to, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm not, I'm not putting it in the, oh, it's part of the blue zone, so it must be healthy thing.
Yeah.
It's just, I just enjoy, it. But yeah, definitely, definitely it adds for me a little social element, and I am no way under any pretense that it's healthy for me, or anything.
Yeah.
But I also don't drink to excess.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think at any point, none of us were 100% alcohol free.
Yeah. And how many of the 8 of you have kids, don't have kids? How does that line up?
There are, let's see, of the 8 of us, 6 of us have children. Myself and another woman are the only 2 that don't have kids.
Right.
So yeah, it was cool. Like,
And is there, I'm sure, I mean, I know the answer to this, but I'm sure our listeners don't. But is there a reason why you don't have kids? And is that something that, you feel pressure about?
No pressure anymore, because I'm 50. So if I got pregnant now, people will be like, hallelujah. It's like nothing short of
It's
a miracle.
Halle Berry Jr.
Yeah, right. Whoa. Is Tony Orlando the father? Like, what's happening here? No. I can honestly say I never wanted children. I never had that urge to have kids. I am one of 5 children. I have a wonderful big Italian family, and I have 4 older brothers and me. And I think that, like, there was a time, I mean, I also, not as old as you, Rip, but I got married a little later. I was 34 when I got married.
Yeah.
So, and my husband was 41 when we got married, both of us for the first time. So we were a little later, and we had conversations about it. We always left the door open, but neither one of us ever clamored for that addition in our lives, and I don't know if that's a product of me leaving the Midwest at a young age, because I left Ohio when I was 24.
Hey, tell your adorable husband to
Yeah, Sean. Hey, Sean, you're making a lot of noise back there. Yeah. We're live in front of millions of people. Yeah. Yeah. Can you put the soda away later? Yeah, he's loading up the fridge with sparkling water. But yeah, I don't know if it was me just sort of taking an unconventional route and moving away from my family at a relatively young age. Maybe I would have gone down the more traditional route had I stayed in Ohio. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do joke that and I don't mean this in any way other than humor, which is my defense mechanism in all things. But it's jokingly sometimes say I was born without a uterus, because I've just never had that like urge. And I have them. I have a uterus and I have ovaries. So yeah. And yes, Leslie. Yes.
Oh yeah, Leslie. We absolutely,
about
Leslie.
No,
thank you for being so considerate and concerned about that. So I mean, I would imagine, and Leslie and everybody, I'm diving in because I think this is an important question, because I feel like in this society, this culture, so many of us get bombarded with, well, do you have children? When are you going to have children? How many children do you want? And it's just always in our faces. For example, we had a woman on the podcast, I think it was last year, Leilani Munter, and she is child-free by choice because of the environment, the planet. We're rounding the bend of 8 billion people on the planet, and she doesn't feel that it's a responsible thing to do. So this is a conversation that I enjoy having, and I appreciate Carrie having it.
Oh yeah, and I'm, because I'm also on the precipice of menopause, very much going through that transition. These are also conversations that I think we also need to have more of. If for those that are comfortable having those conversations about these changes that our bodies go through hormonally and physically and emotionally, and I think that's another reason why it was so important for all of us to get together at this milestone age, which I know is still young in the scheme of life, but we're on the downslope, and it's important, I think, for people to have these conversations about matters that we just used to not talk about. And I grew up in a very traditional Catholic household, and so it probably was just like checking the boxes of this is what we do next, and that we have kids. But I was never a traditional kid anyways. I was always the little runt tomboy and who was going to go off and do my own thing anyways. And I remember getting the pressure of when are you getting married? When are you getting married? And then when we first got married, it was when are you having kids? When are you having kids? And that died down because I was pretty vocal even back then of I don't think it's for me. So
yeah. So you didn't say,
Leslie.
You didn't say, no, I don't have a uterus.
Yeah, no, but if I see I have 8 nieces and 1 nephew, and they're all in college and beyond at this point. So I've watched them raise, and I think I was just the weird vegan aunt that moved to Austin, Texas. But I've enjoyed immensely watching them grow up and to be these wonderful, beautiful adults that they are. And so, And Lori, I will say that you just commented about teaching them to be plant-based warriors. At least one of my nieces and one of my sister-in-laws, as a result of Rip and Adam Sudd, have become plant-based because they heard an interview with Rip and Adam Sudd. And because I introduced them to PlantStrong, we are having those little ripple effects.
Nice. Anything else? Let's go back to your friend and how she made it a safe zone and a safe place, and limited the social media, unless there was approval by all, asked about, made it very, very okay to either drink or not drink, food, what are people's food restrictions, requests, anything else?
Yeah. She made a bunch of stuff in advance too, which was important again, so that we weren't making bad choices all weekend long. So, she had made some hummus. She had a big gigantic bowls of fresh fruit, vegetables. We talked about, as I mentioned earlier, we talked about do we want to go out and get an Uber and have somebody drive us around to restaurants, and collectively and adamantly we all said, oh gosh, no, ew, that sounds like so much work. Who wants to put on clothes and makeup and try to look cute? We just wanted to hang out. And so we also just looked at menus together of okay, where do we want to bring food in from that's gonna be good for everybody, right? So just, I think the mindfulness of all of it, and her ability, and if you're ever hosting an event, really keeping this at the forefront of your mind, it's her ability to disarm anything and make everyone feel at ease with their choices. So I thought that was really special, but I didn't realize it until I got home this week and was really thinking about why this weekend was so great, because I almost didn't go, kind of like what you said with your reunion. It's a hassle. I mean, it's a hard, long day of travel, and I had to do it on both ends. Yeah. And I was like, I'll see him at Christmas or something, and I got FOMO, and then I got a little peer pressure of are you serious? You're really not coming? And so I booked a flight. But
well, tell me this. So you said it was a judgment-free zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the most part.
Yeah.
But, you you growing up, you said you were kind of the overweight, the non-athletic one. And I would imagine, and I have no idea, I would imagine that now the roles have been reversed, right? You're not overweight. You're, this lean, specimen that epitomizes, what somebody in their early 50s would probably love to look like. I'm just wondering if people were complimentary of you, or was it just not talked about, or was it like, hey, Carrie, I want some of what you're doing, like help me out here? Like, how was that?
Oh, that's a good question. A little bit of everything, really, because they've been a part of my transformation journey for like the last several years. In fact, two of the 8, our group of 8, the 2 of them have actually been to Austin a time or two to run the Austin half marathon with me, and so my weight transformation, I'd say in all from the beginning, it has probably been about 60 pounds, give or take, because I always fluctuate depending on how much peanut butter I've had. But,
I could live on peanut butter.
I could live on peanut butter, no question. Take away my wine, don't take away my peanut butter. But yes, I think where the inquiry and the interest came in was just in the fact that I think I've been at this so long that I don't think about it, but like just this shot, like you're not tempted to eat this pizza with the pepperoni and cheese. And I'm like, absolutely not. I have this cheeseless pizza with veggies on it over here, and then it was like, what is in that veggie patty that you've made, the poop patty, and them being willing to try it. After one of my runs one day, I came back and I just made this big vat of oatmeal, as I do, with flax, and then I put some fresh berries in there, and I just put it in the microwave with water, like nothing fancy, because I don't think there was plant-based milk there. So I just put it in with the water, and I pulled it out, and it just looked divine. It just looked like a strudel. And I had a friend who was like, oh my gosh, can I try it? I'm like, absolutely. It's just oatmeal though. Like I just boiled it for 2 minutes with water in the microwave. This is not hard to recreate, I promise you. So like that part I thought was, I love it. I am not anyone who's like, if somebody's eating chicken, I am not that person who's given the lecture on factory farming. It's just not my style. That's not how I want to lead and inspire. I just want to lead and inspire by example. So I had some deep conversations with one or two people who are really struggling with mental health right now and weight gain. And we're all struggling with something, right? Like I'm not going there with a perfect life by any stretch of the imagination. So everybody has their struggles. And I think that was part of what made it very special, is that we could have little side conversations with people we trusted about, stuff that's going on, and part of that being our health at this day and age.
I love the fact that, it's such a safe space, and you guys have known each other for so long that it's okay to be maybe even encouraged to be vulnerable and share, pain points and, health issues, marriage issues, children that are just driving you, bat crazy, you name it, because there's a lot going on right now. Carrie, we're going to come back to you in a second.
Okay.
First, we got to take a little commercial break. You guys know that we just launched our pancakes, our new pancake and waffles, about 2 Fridays ago. We've got our gluten. Let me make this a little bit bigger here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Right? No, here. There we go. There we got our gluten-free. For all you that have been clamoring for gluten-free for years, we got our gluten-free pancake and waffle mix. We also have our sweet grain and ancient pancake and waffle mix. This is for those that are a little more eccentric and want that sweet potato in their potatoes, in their pancakes. And then we have our 7-grain pancake and waffle mix.
Yeah.
These are all extraordinary. They rise perfectly, brown perfectly, nice and fluffy. You're going to absolutely adore them. And then for those of you that have been clamoring, like for the cereals, I want you to know they're back in stock, all 3 of them. Yes, as of like 3 days ago. Those of you that know the story, our manufacturer, the levee broke and everything was underwater, our packaging, our ingredients. And so these have been out of stock for a good 2 months. So thank you for your patience, but know that they're back in stock. And this is an announcement that we have not made to our newsletter subscribers because so many people love the cereals that we're afraid that we're going to go out of stock again. And we don't want that to happen. So we're just kind of letting it ride. So I'm only telling you guys right now.
And just to reiterate, the pancake mix and the cereals are only available at plantstrongfoods.com. So you're not going to find them in a grocery. But I will say those new chilies and stews, Rip, oh my gosh, they are next level. They are so good.
And those are available at Whole Food Market stores across the country. Do you have a favorite?
I would say spicy Cajun jambalaya because it's got that heat to it. But I tried the sweet and smoky one that I was like, oh, that might win. Like, the sweet and smoky actually won me over.
I think I told you mine is the chunky chipotle. That is, can't get enough of that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to you. So, what were some concessions that you made just knowing, I'm going to be going and I'm bringing my running shoes and I'm bringing some food, but you know what? It's okay if I don't do this.
Yeah. I mean, I stayed 100% plant-based, but as you know, when you go out to restaurants, you have very little control sometimes over what's in back of house. And so, no guarantees on no oil, but one night, we ordered in from a Mexican restaurant. And so we had my friends had chicken tacos and chicken fajitas, and I had a veggie fajita burrito spread thing. And no cheese in it, but there was no fake cheese in it either. Thank goodness. Just not a fan of the fake cheeses. But no question there was some oil in that. And then the same thing too with the pizzas. Another night we all ordered in different pizzas for everybody. And as I said, I just got a cheeseless pizza and it had spinach, jalapenos, peppers. I forget what tomatoes. Crazy.
So did any of your friends go, what? Pizza without cheese? You gotta be kidding me. You're not American.
I mean, that's probably where they made fun of me a little bit, just like, God, you're so boring, like what happened to you? What happened to that?
Yeah, you're boring because you don't want to eat concentrated,
right, whatever it is.
Cholesterol, morphines, estrogen, salt, casein, all that stuff.
Nope, rather not have that. But again, make fun of me, go for it. I'm all about it. Make fun of me for being healthy. That to me, that's where I think that flattery is what is it when they say making fun of people is a form of flattery? There's a line that's escaping me right now, but yeah, I'm so used to that. And I'm sure that there was probably oil on the pizza, or in the marinara sauce. So those were the types of concessions that I made. Which when I'm home here, we go out we eat out maybe once every 2 weeks here. And
where do you usually go?
When I'm in Austin, we normally go to, I would say we don't even really eat out that much in Austin. We like to go to to Whole Foods to go to the hot bar. there is a little place in Austin in my neighborhood called the Beer Plant, which is a vegan pub. And again, not necessarily the healthiest food, but a fun atmosphere. And it's crazy crowded there. We definitely like to go to Austin Food Company, the ATX Food Company, over there in the
food truck
bicycle. Yeah, the food truck, which I remember when everybody was here for Team PlantStrong, that was like everybody's go-to because the food
do you ever go to Casa?
Not obviously we did for Team PlantStrong, and occasionally I'll go, but in fact, right before I left Austin for the summer, after a run, a couple of girlfriends and I had breakfast over at Casa de Luz. So it was a lovely way to say goodbye to Austin for the summer.
Such a great environment when you walk into Casa, and just it's like all of your stresses just melt away, and you're taken into this, this very kind of relaxing jungle kind of, just like ambiance.
Oh yeah, it's a fantasy. And Nikki, she was there. She and her boyfriend Michael were there, and like that food was amazing. Yeah, I wholeheartedly concur with that one. But here in Oregon where we live, there's a lot of good options as well. I like to go out and find a good like vegan sushi. And even just a plain veggie roll, like they're so yummy.
There's a new place in Austin I've never been. It's called Nori. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've been there twice. Yeah, I've been there twice. And that's definitely on the concession list. Like it's one of those places where it's not going to be 100% SE approved, but like it's good. It's really good.
Yeah. So what were some surprises that came out of the weekend?
Yeah, what were some surprises that well, that people actually liked my poop patties and my sausages, to the point where I shared on our group text, I shared the recipe. So so Shane and Simple, if you happen to be catching this, you're welcome. I think I sent 7 new visitors to your website. The big surprises to me were just how comfortable we all got immediately with each other. And even though everybody's in their own little worlds with their kids who are in college and beyond, and everyone who's, some of us are really going through some struggles, that it felt like coming home in many ways. And how much I just have not laughed that much in so long. Just reckless, abandoned laughter. It surprised me that people were and I say people, and I mean these are some of my best friends, that like they were open to me, asking about my food and recipe sharing. Somebody asked if I run every day, and I don't run every day. I only probably run like 3 days a week, but I do other things as well. So just even if they were just asking to be polite, I don't care. Like it opens the door to conversation. And one of them even asked about chicken, and she was like, "I didn't realize chicken wasn't healthy." And not even me, but the woman whose house we were at, she was like, oh yeah, like she's the one that kind of went down the factory farming route and talked about how the awful conditions and the hormones and everything else. And she's not plant-based either, but like just being able to like drip in a little education and maybe some inspiration was awesome. That wasn't why I went, like I am me, they are them. And I went because I just really, really wanted that connection. And so I think the biggest surprise and the biggest takeaway I got from all of it was just like how much we're all different from when we were 12, and yet how little has changed at our cores,
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I find when I do a trip like what you did, something similar, right? Whether it's doing a boys mountain biking trip or hiking, or going to visit a friend who's got a 50th birthday party with 3 or 4 of my buddies, I never regret it when it's all said and done. The hardest part is just clearing the schedule, getting out of your way, and then making it happen. And then I find when I come home, I appreciate being home that much more as well. Right. So kind of one feeds into the other in a beautiful way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it took us probably, I showed up a day after everybody else. So most people got there on Thursday because they were within driving distance. And I was the only one that flew in. So I didn't get there until Friday night, really. But it felt like, probably like I know when I got there, like that first night, people were still on their phones and checking their family stuff and, doing just that, not ready to disconnect yet or not able. And then by the end of the weekend, it was like phones were just being left wherever. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted to be on their phones.
No, really. It's not a high priority.
Yeah. So, my big takeaways from all of it, Rip, though, and is that how all of the benefit that I got, the biggest benefit was just that social connection with people. And yes, I was able to share my lifestyle in a non-lecturing way, in a non-condescending way, I hope, but they've known this about me too, so it wasn't like a surprise. But but it was that mental and emotional boost I got from the weekend, that we're all going to be okay. That life is sometimes really crappy for us and deals us some rough hands. But if you have a good core group of people who just get you, you don't have to have anything in common with them other than like that strong value system. And I have those women, and I feel very blessed. And so if nothing else, people reach out to those old friends of yours if you haven't in a long time.
Well, nothing like coming together and connecting. So Carrie, thank you for sharing that girls weekend, celebrating 50 years on the planet. And hopefully there's some great takeaways for everybody that was listening. I know that I had a lot.
Thank you.
So Carrie, you know what this weekend is, right? It's July 4th weekend. And
yes.
that means barbecues. It means probably alcohol. It means celebrating. It means fireworks. So I just would, recommend that you guys stay safe, keep your grill safe. And I see that Lori here is going to experiment with some carrot dogs. And so, Lori, you can do it. Absolutely. I would recommend, though, that you boil those carrots for a while and then put them on the grill, right? But because the thing to me about a carrot dog that makes it good is when it's nice and soft on the inside. Gotta be soft, cannot be hard.
Yep. I've made them in the Instant Pot before. So I've pressure cooked them to give them that softness.
Nice.
Yeah. And let them marinate.
And then have you thrown them on the grill to give them that added little burst of flavor?
I've done it both ways. I've done it where I've just done strictly Instant Pot within the spices and the marinade, and ate it from like that. But last 4th of July, we had a little neighborhood party. And so that was one of our contributions for carrot dogs. And so, yeah, we've done the grill thing. We've done grilled corn on the cob. We put down or just grilled vegetables in general, just throw them on some aluminum foil and grill them up, or in a pan. I know you grill right in a pan, right?
Yeah, I'll just take the iron skillet and throw it on the barbecue pit.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. And are you guys going anywhere for 4th?
Well, I'm going up to the family farm here in a couple days for the month of July. I'm gonna be getting out of the searing heat here in Austin. It's been kind of a little bit ridiculous. I think the other day, Carrie, I don't know if you were still here. I don't think you were, but the temperature was about 103, 104. But with the humidity, it felt like 115.
No, I was not there. Thank goodness. I have friends that obviously most of my friends live there, but so every Tuesday night there's a race car track, the COTA Circuit of the Americas. It's a Formula One track.
Yeah.
And every Tuesday night they have what they call bike night in Austin, where you can ride your bicycles around the track, and it's a 3-mile race car track. It's very hilly, so it's not a flat track by any stretch of the imagination. But they've canceled it the last couple of Tuesdays because the track heat makes it upwards of 150 degrees.
Oh my.
Yeah. And and that's at 7:00 at night, Rip, there. So no, I haven't been there for that on purpose.
Well, I was playing pickleball in the middle of the day. I think it was last Saturday, and it was well over 100. And I can tell you it was nasty. And I was good for about an hour and 15, and then I had to stop.
Ugh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of which, let's close with this. You tomorrow are doing another race. Like you sadist, you. What are you doing? You're doing a 12-hour run around a mile loop. Is that right?
I am. What is wrong with me? I'm telling you, it's the plants. It's the plants.
No, it's not.
So I had trained up for a marathon about a month ago, and it didn't go well. I actually did not finish that race. I just mentally wasn't in it, so I walked off the course at mile 10, I think is what it was. And I'm completely fine with that because I know it wasn't fitness. I know it wasn't nutrition. It was just, I just wasn't feeling it that day. So I called it early. So I'm totally like, I feel very good about that decision. But this has been on the calendar for a long time too. And what this is exactly what you described. It's outside of Eugene, Oregon. It's in a state park. And the trail, apparently, I've never done anything like this before. It's a 1-mile loop on a crushed granite trail. And they have a 6-hour, a 12-hour, and a 24-hour. And I signed up for the 12-hour. And so you can do whatever you want within that 12-hour span. So I could do, if I wanted to just do one loop and call it a day, I could do that. Some people plan to run the whole 12 hours or the whole 24 hours, and you can walk it. I mean, there's no, it's less a race and more of just this like mental endurance challenge. And I'm trying to treat this, or I hope to be able to treat it like a meditation, like a moving meditation, because I'll definitely be doing a lot of walking, some run walking. My ultimate goal is to try to hit at least 50 miles just to celebrate this big milestone.
So that's, in order to do that, 50 miles, is that, what do you have to average per mile pace to do that?
So it's five, I have to do 5 miles per hour. So, yes, I have to traverse 5 miles per hour. So that's a 12-minute mile. On average,
miles for 12 hours.
For 12 hours, but
that doesn't sound easy.
No, but I can also call it a day. Like again, I could run for 3 hours, take a 4-hour nap, and then start running again. As long as I can do whatever I want within my 12 hours. So I don't really know what my strategy is going to be, honestly, because I've never done anything like this before. I'm inclined, and this may be the biggest mistake of all, because it's supposed to get to 90 degrees tomorrow in Central Oregon, which is hot. But so I'm inclined to try to bank some miles and try to, while it's cool, to try to get as many miles in as possible, and then run, walk, or take a break throughout the day. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
We'll talk about it next Friday.
All right, Rip.
Yeah, speaking of which, next Friday we are going to have Mel Weinstein on, right?
Yes.
He's a label reading ninja warrior. So if you have any questions about what's in your food, ingredients, labeling, bring them.
Yeah.
Because we'll be live with Mel Weinstein.
In fact, we're launching a podcast with him next week too. He wrote a book called Food Labels Revealed and Fast Food Ingredients Revealed. So if you ever want to know what's in that Kentucky Fried Chicken, he knows. And
exactly.
I wish I didn't know now.
Yeah. Hey, Carrie, thank you. Everybody,
you
thank
bet.
you so much for joining us today. Have a great July 4th weekend and keep it plant strong. Boom.
Boom. Have a great weekend, Rip.